Madness, man. Look, I'm just going to give my 50 cents on this matter from the research I've done and just given my take. Now, here's the thing. This is what I have to ask Putin. Do you or do you not recognize Ukraine as a sovereign nation, an independent state? That's just where we have to just start. Because see, this is very simple. It's not really that complex. Because if they're not an independent nation, a sovereign nation, then it's all fair game. Fine. But if they're a sovereign nation and an independent nation, which I believe they are, then you can't just go in and hold regions within that country and say these regions are now part of Russia. Like that makes no sense. Like you can't then say, oh, we don't want Ukraine to join NATO. They can do whatever the heck they want. Because if they're an independent nation, they can do whatever the heck they freaking want. So they're not bound to you. Because and also this isn't even like Scotland, England, and Wales, where like they're actually in a union. Yes, they're independent countries, but they're under a union, so they work as a whole. I don't believe Ukraine is in a union with Russia, like the USSR and everything. That's broken up. The Soviet Union, which is in World War II, has Soviet Union does not exist anymore. That's broken down. So all these countries, Lithuania, Belarus, all these guys, they're their own nations now. So because I just don't know why Putin. Well, I don't know what arguments he has because if we're following by law, okay, these regions say we're now pro-Russian. Okay, fine, you can be pro-Russia all you want, but you're still within Ukraine. So because you're within the nation of Ukraine, because you have to go through. If you want to become a separate nation, there's particular um steps you have to take. You can just say, "Hey, Russia, help us, bring some troops over and force us to be pro-Russia and separate from Ukraine." No, that's not how it works. Look at what happened with Spain and Catalonia, because Catalonia were trying to go through specific channels to become independent, but Spain were like, "No, sorry, that's not happening because we have to first recognize you, and you have to basically go through these steps for you to be an independent state. And because you didn't do that, you can't be an independent state." So because my thing is because everyone is saying that okay, they're gonna invade. Because I'm like, okay, maybe he's just gonna take those two regions in this and say, okay, part of Russia, which again is illegal because you can't just say, oh, you're not part of Russia. No, you have to go through specific channels to declare your independence. And my thing though is, and that's where the conflict arises because if Russia now says, okay, these guys are not going to be part of Russia, Ukraine going to be like, no, they're not. They're part of Ukraine, and you can't come to our because that's where we are. That's a declaration of war. You can't come to our country with military people and enforce these regions as part of your own. No, that's like a declaration of war. You know, it's like if like people in Texas say, Texas, we want to be part of Mexico, and we believe that we're part of Mexico. No, you're not. You're part of America. You can't just declare yourself as part of Mexico. You have to go through specific laws. And if, let's say, Mexican soldiers now came into Texas to now try to claim it in Texas, then America will be like, oh no, this is a declaration of war. You can't come to our soil with military personnel and say this. No, that's a declaration of war. So let's see how this goes, man. Let's see how this goes because bro, if he attacks Ukraine now, then because my thing is, they always say it's the tip of the iceberg. Because remember with Hitler, it was just like no little. Because now if he now attacks Ukraine, he now claims Ukraine is like, oh, let me seek Belarus. Oh, let me, and then suddenly you're like, oh, because it always starts small. Like, oh no, we really want these two regions. Well, maybe we'll have that as well. You know what? Let's just take Ukraine all the way back because remember, because if Ukraine joins NATO, that is a massive buffer against Russia as well. So I don't know what Peter wants. Do you want to reclaim the USSR? Do you want to bring this whole thing back? I don't know. And also, these guys, China are rolling with them now, so you already have that whole axis over there. So it's very very intriguing times, man. Tell me, guys, what do you think? What's your take on this whole matter, man?